Hey, hi everyone, welcome back to this new videos. In this video, we're going to understand the difference and the most important Java interview question asked many interviews, which is the difference between final and finally and finalize. So in this video, you're going to understand and you're going to remember. Okay, so you're going to answer this question with no hesitation. All right, so we'll understand this the difference final, finally, and finalize in Java. Okay, let's get started, not wasting much time. All right, cool. So now, yes, so let's understand the final one. Okay, the final keyword. Okay, the first and foremost thing, final is a keyword. Okay, final is a keyword. All right, so final is a keyword and finally is a block and finalize is a method or a function. So now let's talk about final first. Okay, the final is used in three ways. Okay, final is used in three ways, which is in variables, in method, and in class. All right, so how it is getting used, so we'll understand that first. The first thing, final is a keyword. Final is used in variables, class, and methods. So let's see the example. So final used in variables, so which means, let's say I have a variable int let's say int num is equal to 20 like this. And if if you want to, okay, let's say I'm going to use a final keyword for a variable. So num is a variable, right? So if I want to reinitialize the value for the num variable, let's say like this, num is equal to 45, then we'll be getting an error right at the final. So if I how my cursor work here, it says the final local variable num cannot be assigned, it must be blank or not using a compound assign, which means the num variable is the final one, means which is constant. So once the value is assigned for the num variable, which is set with final keyword, you cannot able to reinitialize the value for that variable, which means a variable which has been initialized already, you cannot able to reinitialize the value for that variable which is been set as a final. All right, so this is how the final keyword used for a variable, so you cannot able to reinitialize it. Okay, got it, cool. So now let's understand the next one, final keyword used in the method. Okay, so how the final keyword can be used in a method, which means, you see here there's a small sentence, let's read it out. A final method, let's read it together. Final method cannot be overridden by subclass. Okay, let's understand what is the meaning of this. A final method cannot be overridden by subclass. Okay, to make you understand, I need to create two new classes over here. Okay, so I hope you guys know what is the meaning of inheritance. So let's say if you don't know, it's very simple. Inheriting the properties from a parent class. A child class is getting created, or child class is inheriting the properties from the parent class, or from a derived class from a superclass. So I'm going to create one class called, let's say, movie. So like this, and the movie has a method called, let's say, public void watch is the method name. Okay, cool. So, and I'm going to create a one more class. Recently a movie got released, is a Deadpool, so I'm going to make it as a movie name is Deadpool. Okay, Deadpool. And which see, Deadpool is also a movie, right? So Deadpool and Wolverine basically, so I'm going to keep it as Deadpool. So Deadpool is also a movie which is a child of a movie, right? So something like this. So extend, or you can also consider an example like vehicle is a parent class, and you're going to create a car from the vehicle, or you can create a subclass or a child class called truck, bike, train, etc. These are all vehicles, right? So I'm just creating movie, so to make you understand. So the movie Deadpool is extending the property from the class parent movie. Okay, like this. Okay, no issues. So now here in the same Deadpool also we have a method called watch. Okay, so basically what's happening over here, it is a method overriding. So the two classes, which means the parent class and the child class, has the same method. So this is called override. All right, so now what I said and what was written over here, a final method cannot be overridden by a subclass, which means, so this is a subclass or the child class, this is a parent class or the superclass. So overridden cannot be done by a subclasses, which means now if I make this method as a final or using a final keyword for the method, if you see we are getting an error over here, which means cannot override the final method from the movie class, which means you cannot able to override a method from a parent class, means the subclasses cannot override the method from the parent classes which has final. Got it? So this is how the final keyword works for the method. And the next one we have final class. So how final keyword is used in classes, so let's understand that. So before that, we'll read it together along with the video. Final class cannot be subclass. So what does it mean? Let's understand. So I don't want this error, so I'm going to remove this final keyword. Okay, so which means if we annotate a final keyword for the class, that class cannot be extended from any other subclasses. Basically, if you see, this is a class called movie. Okay, the Deadpool class or the subclass is inheriting the properties from the parent class, which is a movie class, extending from movie class, right? So if I make this movie class as a final, okay, see, now you're getting an error, which means if the class is set as final, that is final, so any other subclasses cannot able to read or inherit the properties from the class which is been set as final. So the subclasses cannot able or can't inherit the properties from the parent class. Okay, this is not going to give a inherit option for any subclasses. Okay, this is what meaning final in class. Final variable, let's little summarize. Final variable, you cannot able to reinitialize it. Final method, overridden is not possible. And classes, if you make the class as final, that class or the subclasses cannot able to inherit the properties from the final class. Got it? So this is the meaning of final. So now let's understand about finally. Let's consider this as an example. So here we have a try, and here we have a catch, and then we have a final block. And one more thing, this is also important, final block only used with try and catch block, that's all. You cannot able to use it other than try and catch block. All right, so here a simple code data 100 divided with, oh okay, no need to worry about this. See, if any exception occur at the try block, the catch block is going to execute, right? If there is no issue with the try block, obviously try block is going to execute and catch block is not going to execute, right? So if error comes, catch block; if error doesn't comes, only try block will be executed successfully. So final means if there is an error or if there is any exception or if there is no exception, still the finally is going to execute its block. Okay, got it? So let me run this quickly. Learn final. Let me run it over here. So run as Java application. If you see, we got an, because here we have 100 divided by 0, so that's the reason catch is throwing an error, arithmetic exception caught. So you can see arithmetic exception caught divided by 0 error. So this is final block, it always execute rest of the code. Oh okay, so this statement is executing. So this is final block, it always executes, so that the line is getting executed, right? So if there is no error, let's say 100 divided by 0, it's infinity, let me keep as 100 divided by 2, so there is no issue, so catch block is not going to execute this time. So if I run the same program again, see, this is a final block, it's always execute, so catch block is not executed, which means there is no issues in the try block. So if there is issues and if there is no issues, still the final block always executes it. Okay, got it? So one more thing to understand, final block usually we use in the big applications level, we usually use to close the files which has been opened. And if the database connection is, when it is open, we usually close the resources, help to close the resources like database connection. Okay, so that's the help of finally. Okay, so whenever the interview asks what is finally, finally is the block which is used with try and catch block. If there is an exception with the try, uh, catch, if there is an exception or if there is no exception at the try, still the final block always executes. Okay, this is the meaning of finally block in Java. The final keyword is done. Finally is also done. Next, finalize. So it says final is a keyword, finally is a block, and finalize is a method or the function, right? So let's understand this quickly. Let's consider this example work here. Okay, finalize block or finalize a method. It's a method. Okay, so now let's understand this, and I'll give you a small yeah, the explanation. Okay, so finalize or the finalize method. So the garbage collector. So basically in Java we have something called garbage collector. So the garbage collector calls the finalize method when it determines that there are no more reference to the object, which means in simple words, so before the garbage collector works, the final method is going to call. Okay, so it's basically used to clean up all the objects. Okay, however, yeah, so basically its purpose is to allow an object to clean up the resource before it removed from the memory. So garbage collector is basically going to remove uh, all the unnecessary objects from the memory, but this finalize method is going to clean up all the resource before it is getting removed from the garbage or removed from the memory. Okay, through garbage from the memory. Okay, so before it is being removed from the memory using garbage collector, before that itself the finalize method is going to run and clean up all the code. So basically this runs before our garbage collector. So that's simple. Okay, basically used to clean up the code, simple, and runs before garbage collector. That's simple. And throwable is a super class of all the exceptions, so remember that as well. So yes, all right, so now we understand. Let's summarize quickly. Final is a keyword uh, used in variable, method, and class. Finally is a block used with try and catch block. And finalize is a method or a function. Basically, before the garbage collector executes, before the garbage collector cleans all the data from the memory, before that it's a final method is going to run and clean up the code. So finalize method helps to clean up the code before the garbage collector do its work. Simple. Okay, that's the difference between final, finally, and finalize. So I hope you understand in this video, and you can answer this in your interview as well. So just chill, answer this, and crack the interview. So let's meet in our next video. If you like this concept or if you like this video, please do like it. And if you're new to our channel, please subscribe it, because a lot of new videos are coming up. There are tutorials as well. Please do check it out. All right, let's meet in our next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Bye bye.